Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to this third and final installment of the SAP-PI Data Accelerator webinar series. Today, we're looking at how to apply the data you connected from PI System and SAP PM to business decision making. My name is Juanita, and I'm part of the marketing team here at Element. And now I would like to welcome today's speakers. Our second speaker, Jose Betancourt, is a forward deployed engineer at Element. He put his computer science and MBA education to good use, acquiring more than 20 years of experience in industry. Most of this time was spent at oil and gas companies such as Chevron, Shell, and Texaco. Jose has also acquired consulting experience working mostly on PI system projects during his tenure at Wipro. He's passionate about increasing business value through the use of Element Unify. He's also based in Houston, where he enjoys activities such as fitness training, marathons, and also family time. Hi, guys, and welcome to you both. Beamer, you should be good to go. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Juanita. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take us through the agenda. I can get my screen to show. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you should be presenter now. Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, great. So we're going to ask you a quick question. I'm going to talk a little bit about the first two webinars, and we're going to bring the story to a close today. So I'll just recap those quickly, and if you have questions about something you saw there and you weren't able to attend, you can just go to our website and you can watch the recordings. We're going to talk today a little bit about business decision making, about running the business. And then Jose is going to take you into the software, and we're going to talk about putting this connected data to work. We're going to talk about the parts of the software we haven't spoken about yet, including sensor diagnostics. We're going to add some additional context into the pipeline we built in the first webinar. We're going to add one more piece of information, equipment criticality, and then we're going to bring that into a similar dashboard to the ones we built in the earlier webinars, and talk about how we make business decisions on our critical sensors that are out of service. Then we'll do one more poll question, and we'll get into discussion and Q&A. So please, as Juanita said, type your questions in as you have them, and we will try to make time to answer them at the end. And Juanita's opened up a poll, so now go ahead and please answer the poll questions while she gives us some time to do that.
Yes, the poll is up. We'll give you about 20 seconds to select your responses. All right, interesting results. Poll is closed, and these are the results.
Okay, so as you can see that about half the people have an issue of getting a view of the current risks or vulnerabilities, and about the other half have all three issues are concerns to them. So we're going to talk about how we deal with some of that. But first, I want to just bring you back to where we went in the first two webinars and where we're going to go today. So this is the overview slide of what Element Unify does. And we've talked about integrating the data, bringing data from PI and SAP together in the first webinar and adding context to that. And we talked a little bit about governance on the model coverage, and we showed how we save that to the graph and apply it to equipment monitoring. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about governance in that how do I know my data is good using sensor diagnostics, and how do I know I'm making decisions on the right data? And so with that, let's talk a little bit about business decision making and making better business decisions before I hand over to Jose, and he'll take us through the software. So there are several studies that have shown that about 2/3 of all the failures that occur in industry are human factors related. And I quickly searched one. This one came from machinery lubrication, and you can see all the different human factors. Why does this happen? It's because humans have to focus their attention on something. We have a limited focus and attention, and when we try to focus on everything, we miss things. So part of what we're trying to do is help us focus on the right things. And having good information and good data allows you to put the information you want your operators, your maintainers, your engineers to see front and center. What should we be focused on today? How are we going to identify vulnerabilities in our businesses, risks? What machinery is available to operate, and by having machinery out of service, how does that potentially impact procedures and practices and what I'm doing in my business? So we're going to talk to that a little bit more. We're going to demonstrate that, a way to get after some of that with our software. So I'm going to hand over to Jose now, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what he's going to show you in the software. Then we'll move into the software. Please don't forget to type your questions into the question box, and I hope you enjoy what Jose's about to show you. Jose.
Thank you, Steve. In our last webinar, we showed our Element Unify model coverage. And today we're going to continue in that line, demoing the Element Unify sensor diagnostic feature. I'm also going to guide you through the process of how to implement the feature for future analysis. But before getting into the detail, let's stop for a minute and ask ourselves, why does sensor diagnostics support business decision-making process? I would say sensor diagnostic addresses one of the major issues when we are dealing with analytic solutions, which is data quality. But let's define data quality, shall we? Data quality is a measure of the condition of data based on various factors, such as accuracy, completeness, consistency, I would say reliability, and whether it's up to date. So it really doesn't matter how sophisticated and complex the analytics software is. If the data quality in accuracy or completeness or consistency or reliability is low, most likely the output of this solution will not be of any value. Furthermore, poor quality data is often linked as a source of operational problems, inaccurate analytics, and ill-conceived business strategy. So in summary, we could say garbage in or garbage out. Or we could say, in the best case scenario, we have made the right decisions with the wrong data. So let's go back to sensor diagnostic. This features enables us to create a very solid and reliable data foundation layer for other analytic solutions to use. It helps to surface data quality issues at the lowest level, in this case, the sensor level. So let's move on into the software so I can show you how the sensors unactive feature is configured. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is to describe the process of how to configure and use sensor diagnostic. So let's start with the three prerequisites. We have to create a pipeline. We have to publish the asset model to the Element Unify graph, and we have to configure the sensor diagnostic Windows service. So like I mentioned before, the first requirement is a pipeline. In the previous webinar, we have built a pipeline with a PI tag historian dataset, and also with an SAP work orders dataset. So in this demo, we're going to add more context, like Steve said, to our data model. In this case, we have added an equipment criticality dataset. As you can see, we have the equipment ID and the level of criticality. Now we are going to we used our join transformation to join the new information to the current asset model. If I go and click on the last flow, we will see that the equipment criticality information has been added to the asset model. We have the column, and then obviously the criticality column, and then the values. So now that we have included the equipment criticality into the pipeline, we can use that data or information to make better decisions. We will see how to use it in a moment in our dashboard. So that was the first step. We have the pipeline created, and we have added additional context to our asset model. So the second step before going into the sensor diagnostic is to publishing the asset model into the Element Unify graph. And this is very simple. This is by clicking the publish pipeline, we're sending the information into our graph, ready to use for the sensor diagnostic feature. Once we click that, we are going to see the model coverage. And the reason I mentioned this, because model coverage is also part of the baseline in order to sensor diagnostic to work. Finally, we have the third prerequisite, which is to install, configure, and start the sensor diagnostic Windows service. It's a service that is going to connect to your historian, in this case, the PI historian, generate a quality report based on a specific set of tags, and upload that report into Element Unify. So I just described the three major steps: a pipeline, upload it into the graph, and run in the Windows service. So let's move on into the Element Unify sensor user interface. So the first screen that I'm showing is how the report looks like before running the Windows service. As you can see, all the three categories are showing zeros. And then there's no information whatsoever on this area. But on the second screen, you can see the sensor diagnostic user interface after the service, Windows service has run. As you can see, we have the three categories with values. The first one is the null tags. These are tags that have not received good values for the last 24 hours. In this case, we have 41. The second one, we have the category intermittent tags. These tags have at least 60% of good values. We have 12 in this category. And last one, we have the static tags. These are tags which their values haven't changed in the last 24 hours. In this case, we have 361. An example of that would be a tag that is receiving the value of 0 for every second for the last 24 hours. In this section, you can see more information about the tags in hand, or the tags that have been processed. We have information about the issue type, the name of the tag, the current sensor, the current measurement, the description about the tag, a few description, and engineering unit. Also have the same value in the system if you have, and the consecutive days this tag has been captured in any of these categories. Additional to that, we have information about the instrument tag coming straight from the PI server. What we can do here is to filter the data. We can use any of the columns and filter the data, or we can download it into a CSV file using this icon. So once we have the risk report available, we can bring that data now into our dashboard. But before getting into the dashboard, let me tell you a story that can help you understand more about where we're getting out. So let's take an example of a maintenance engineering base in Texas. Working for a company with multiple facilities, his or her job is to check various critical equipment. Some facilities are close, but others may be 40 or 50 miles away. With sensor diagnostic report, if a critical piece of equipment requires immediate attention, the engineer would have known in advance and would have driven out and back to fix the equipment. He or she will definitely will focus their efforts on facilities that requires immediate action, and the operation wouldn't suffer for the lack of planning. So let's dive into the report that can help this engineer to make better decisions. So the first things that I want to point out is that this report is only showing, or it's only working, we're working with null tags. On the left-hand side, we have the SAP hierarchy. And by the way, this SAP hierarchy has the location of the equipment. So it's very important, as you notice, to know where the equipment is located. We have down here, we have this SAP work order status. And down here, we have the information we have recently added to our asset model, the equipment criticality. In this example, we have 3 levels of criticality. Asset, list, equipment. And down here, we have the work order list. And last but not least, we have a tree map that's showing the statuses of the tags reported. We have 2 colors. We have the green and the red. The green is showing the tags that are receiving values, and the red color is showing the tags that are null. So in this particular report, we have filtered equipment with the highest level of criticality, number 1. So you can see on one screen all the critical equipment, the highest level, and what are the issues with the tags. If I click on one of them, let's say compressor 310, I can see automatically that this compressor has 3 tags, and one is not sending values. And down here, we have noticed that we have a work order open, and the null tag, the vibration check in this particular tag, is being taken care of. In this case, the engineer, once he or she sees this report, will immediately focus his or her attention on the sensors in red. We can do this analysis with every single compressor or equipment in this list. Or what we can do as well is to check other equipment criticalities. If I click on level 2, we can see the asset list, all the critical compressors and pumps, but no issue with any tags. If we go down to level 3, we're going to see the same. All the tags are good, and we have 2 asset equipment criticality level 3 with work orders status open. So if you can see, in summary, this is how the engineer will use the information in this report to make better decisions. Thank you.
So in this case, Jose, an engineer could look at that report before he or she left the office and then know exactly where to go and what they were looking at.
Exactly. He has a way to plan his day and accordingly, and then he focuses her effort on the critical equipment first, and then what type of sensors are having issues. And maybe he already looking at the report, he can say, oh, this issue has been taken care of because there's a work open order. And he actually,
Or an operating team leader could look at that and make sure that the maintenance team leader understands that that's the work that needs to happen today, that make sure that's a priority for the instrument technician on the job.
exactly.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose. Move into one more quick question, and then we'll have a little bit of discussion.
Poll is up. We'll give you some time to select your responses. Please do so, and we'll share the results in a moment. Poll is closed. Sharing
Okay,
results.
it looks like nobody really wants to say what the state of their data is, except for those who feel that it's pretty good. It's been I relate to that, so thank you. Jose, so we're going to talk a little bit about then the first time you implemented this at one of our larger customers. What kind of things do you find when you implement sensor diagnostics?
I'm glad to ask, Steve. There's a very interesting case that we found. We actually implemented this in sensor diagnostic in one of our biggest customer, Covestro. They have an initiative that is very important to them to from the analytics perspective. So when we implemented this this sensor diagnostic feature, we was expecting. So in most of the cases, all the tags were grouped as stale, meaning that they were not showing any errors anywhere on the PI system, but the data was stale. So like the example that I mentioned before, I'm getting 0 for 24 minutes. I mean, for 24, but the data is stale. So imagine they're surprised when they discovered 2,000 tags out of the 60,000 tags that were not in good shape.
So the tags were sending data, but it wasn't getting where it was supposed to go. How much effort did it take to fix that problem once you discovered it?
Well, it's actually a couple hours. The most time-consuming process was to install the service, and the service, once they install the service, capture the information, and once it captured the information, it was just a matter of displaying the information. So it was very quickly. It wasn't much of a hassle other than the actual configuration of our services to connect to their PI service instance.
And of those 2,000 tags, the majority of the problems were really a naming convention between the PI server at the site and the corporate server, in that when they copied the names over, they had an error in the typing. So by fixing the names that Sensor Diagnostics highlighted, we actually got those tags all streaming to the server and to the analytics within a few hours. So it was a real big success for them and a real eye-opener for that team. Jane Arnold spoke about that on a webinar she did with us, and you can go and find that if you're interested on our website and get some more details behind that experience. Okay, I think we're coming to the end of our time, so I would like to pass. Oh, there's one question we should answer before we do that. Jose, are there any limitations into how many sensors we can monitor with sensor diagnostics?
No, there's no limitation whatsoever. It's
Great.
actually very straightforward to configure.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to pass it back then to Juanita, who is going to close us out, and I thank everyone for attending the webinar.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone. We are coming to the conclusion of the webinar. In terms of next steps, We will have a survey after the webinar is concluded. We would love your participation and your feedback. So please take a few moments to complete that and send us the results. The best way to see these capabilities for yourself is to try Element Unify free for 30 days. We do have a free trial available on our website. You can just go to our homepage and click on the free trial button, or just add free-trial to our URL, which is on the screen. That will give you an opportunity to see these capabilities firsthand. And if you have questions, we'd love to support you through that process. Also, if there are other questions that have come up, or at any point after this webinar, if you think of any questions, you have three options. The first one is we will be holding an office hours webinar soon. You will receive an invitation with via email with details. So look out for that. That will give you an opportunity to have any more questions you have answered, interact with our experts, and just generally hear from your peers and see some of the challenges they might be experiencing. You can also contact us via the website through the contact form, or you can engage with us on LinkedIn via our company page, or you can tag us in any of your posts and we'd love to respond. Thank you so much for your time and attendance, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.